Hey, let them know.
Yo, it's the formula.
What up, y'all? It's your boy R to the A to the S. Yes, Rise here with See What Causing Blog. And today we're going to talk about the formula. Is there a formula for Christian hip hop to break out behind the church wall? And I'm going to argue today that there is no direct formula. This video is, of course, inspired by Lecrae being on 106 in Park this week. I'm not going to go into all that. Everybody, I've seen a lot of stuff written on that. I'm going to stay out of that. But in response to that, I do want to address a mentality that, you know, people might have to think like, wow, well, maybe there's a certain formula. If I copy Lecrae and what he did, then I'll have the same type of impact as an artist. And I would say that's really, that's the wrong attitude to have in the first place. But I would say if you look at the history of Christian hip hop, there are a variety of ways that people have broken out of the quote-unquote Christian hip-hop box and given their music beyond the church walls. Some people have did it in an explicit gospel way, where, they're directly gospel. A perfect example, of course, would be the Crossmovement. I've heard Crossmovement, they were on like a Philly rap station. They did a little freestyle, okay, on the secular station. They were on a show called Teen Summit, which was BT back in the day. They used to have good programming. That certainly has changed. But back then they had a show called Teen Summit where teens would have different topics each week that would pertain to teenagers, and they had like young adults who would be like the hosts, and they would basically like run the show. Okay? And they had a little gospel show one time, and Crossmovement was on there. You got millions of people who watched the show, and then millions of people were exposed to the gospel through the Crossmovement. They were on a show back in the day on BT called Rap City, which is now off, but they had that video that was played on there, House of Raps. This was on the regular hip-hop station. Okay? You can go to another opposite end with the Grits. The Grits were on the same shows I talked about. They were on Teen Summit. They were on Rap City. In fact, they even charted on this like top 10 show, Rap City. I think they went maybe number 8, maybe. It was either 8 or 7 one week. It was like Saturday mornings, and they charted. This is a Christian hip hop group. Charted on the chart on Rap City's little countdown show. Of course, they were on Tokyo Drift, many MTV movies. I think their single "Ooh Ah" sold $500,000. That's right, $500,000. Ooh Ah. So, is there some kind of formula? No. There are different ways God used people. Crossmovement, if you read Fanatic book, they were people like KRS-One, one of them on their albums. You have people like Redman, Busta Rhymes, who listen to Crossmovement. And this is a cross-center gospel rapping group, but they broke through the four walls just being themselves. Grits broke through the four walls by being themselves. So there's no formula. I would argue. You can go to T-Bone. T-Bone is a Christian rapper from the West Coast. He did more, I guess you can say more little gangster, more street type of Christian hip hop, for the hood type stuff. He was on an MTV show called The Cut, and The Cut was sort of like, I guess you can say, the X Factor, if you ever watched that show where they have rappers and singers. Not really American Idol, because all they have is singers on American Idol. But he was on the show competing, and he went very far on the show. So you got millions of people watching this show, and here he is representing Christ on this show. He even got interviews back, I don't know how long ago, it might have been like 10 years ago or so. He was interviewed on the Sway and Tech show by Jay-Z. Yes, the Jay-Z actually interviewed T-Bone. You know what I'm saying? This was before he was Jay-Z, the half a billionaire, but he was interviewed by Jay-Z. So again, this is straight up strictly gospel rapper dude breaking through the four walls. Then you got other people who use a different approach. You got people like Braille, whose first album was, he didn't go the Christian rap route in terms of, okay, Christian producers. His producers were straight up, underground producers. And he, if you follow his album, he continued that pattern pretty much until his last album, Native Tongues, where he had underground producers. So he went a whole different route. He didn't even use Christian producers, but he went beyond the four walls. He was sold on underground hip hop, and people, if you go like underground hip hop stations and you mention Braille, people know who he is. You know what I'm saying? Different ways, different methods. You would say the same thing with Othello, aka Jose Moore. He's performing all over the world. You know what I'm saying? This is a Christian guy, but he, he's not, all his rhymes are not explicitly, quote unquote, explicitly Christian, but he's a Christian, and you can hear he talks about God as rhymes, and he's performing all over the world. I think as I'm recording, he's in Japan right now. Different ways, different methods to go beyond the four walls. All right? Same thing you can say about Scribbling Idiots. You know what I'm saying? Underground. They were on MTV, Wonder Brown, etc. Different ways, different methods. You got producers like Theory Hazard. He has worked with Christian Christian artists. He's also worked with underground secular artists like MC8. Different ways, different methods. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just giving observations that people that use different ways and different methods. There is no formula. Then you got somebody like Wes Pendleton, who has worked, as far as I know, strictly within the Christian rap genre. But because his instrumentals and his music is so good, he's starting to break through and get his music on, charted high on Bandcamp. Kevin Nottingham's site, Dead End Hip Hop has featured his stuff a lot. Different ways, different methods. Let's see, Flame, of course, straight up gospel rapper, but I've heard Flame music on, what is it? What is the song? I can't remember the song with Lecrae. Y'all know it. But the song with Lecrae, Angels Around My, whatever it's called. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that song was on the hip hop station on Comcast, and I heard it a couple times. They didn't change. They just did straight up gospel stuff, and they was themselves. Okay? As well as Flames Buck with the Angels was on the NFL CBS show. He didn't even know about it. Breaking through the four walls, just being themselves. Gospel Gangsters. They went a different route because they were signed to a secular record label. They were signed to Priority Records, which is one of the biggest, if you know the history of rap, they signed a lot of classic groups, hip-hop groups, West Coast people, you know what I'm saying? A lot of gangster rap came through Priority Records, and they were signed to this record label. You could say the same thing with the Percussors. They were signed up, what is it, Raucous? I probably pronounced it wrong, but whatever. The Percussors were signed to this underground hip-hop label. And people, if you go on any hip-hop site and they talk about underground rap, they gonna know who the Percussors are. Because they were, you know what I'm saying? They were in that mix. They performed with Talib and various people, but they talk about Christ in their lyrics. Different ways, different methods. Of course, Shad K, as I could get the close out, Shad K, the brother went the underground route. Brother won a Juno, which is the equivalent of the Grammys in Canada, beat out Drake, a.k.a. Aubrey, a.k.a. Wheelchair Jimmy. Beat out his album. Underground dude. Voted the best album in hip-hop in Canada. And he's recognized as dope. But, you know what I'm saying? He's Christian. So bottom line, y'all, as we look at stuff like Lecrae, there is history there. I mean, you can go with, even I didn't mention, like I said, this isn't some exhaustive thing. There are other people who have done as well, but these are just examples. Of course, you can look at somebody like Bizzle, has brought them through. But bottom line, so Baraka as well, in different ways, CNN, all types of stuff. But bottom line, there are different ways, different methods. Do you? Do you? You don't have to follow no formula, whatever. If you're yourself, that's the important thing, man. And it's biblical. You ain't going against the Bible. So that's my thoughts, man. This is Proceed with Cost of Blog. Hope it's sussing them out. Triples.